And ever since Michael Slager got out of jail Monday, civil rights groups here in Charleston have been protesting after a heated exchange between some of the protesters this morning. Tonight, our cameras are rolling as a man who calls himself a counter-protester was kicked out of a meeting held downtown.
In the days and weeks after Walter Scott was shot and killed by Michael Slager back in April of last year, protesters stood here outside North Charleston City Hall day and night. And now those same protesters are again calling for justice.
No justice! No peace!
Friday morning, members of the South Carolina National Action Network, Black Lives Matter, and other civil rights groups held a press conference outside North Charleston City Hall.
And sitting up here like everything all good.
All right, that's we said what we had to say.
But when the South Carolina director of NAN tried to calm down a heated protester, things got ugly.
We can't come back violence with violence.
Why not? Why not?
They will destroy you, brother.
Later in the day, many of the same protesters sat in front of security at the federal courthouse downtown, shouting for Slager to be put back in jail.
We want Slager back in jail.
Next, they went outside and momentarily stopped traffic at Broad and Meeting Streets. Some motorists frustrated by the demonstrators. At 6 o'clock Friday evening, a closed-door meeting was held by members of NAN, Black Lives Matter, and the other groups.
I just feel like somebody should show the community that there is some opposition to these groups.
Scott Garland calls himself a counter-protester and eventually went into the meeting. But some protesters said he was intimidating and made them nervous.
Have you ever heard me say anything disrespectful? Out the door. I will. But can you answer that? Have you ever heard me say anything?
I asked you to go, so please leave.
Meeting organizers then asked all of the white people in the room to leave, so the African-American members of the meeting could have a safe space to talk about, quote, unity for the community. As the night went on, meeting organizers denied our request for comment and asked us to leave. But as we were pulling out of the parking lot, this woman called us back for an interview. The man involved in the argument earlier in the day now had something to say.
I really wanted to apologize for Elder Johnson to show everybody that there's no hard feelings between myself or Elder Johnson. We shook hands, hugged, and everything else.
But before the interview, the woman protester told members of the media she wanted this apology to air the way they wanted it to air. And if we didn't, she planned to purposely give us wrong information about their meetings going forward.
And we're going to tell them we're in Somerville when we're really in Columbia. So we can false feed them information if they do the wrong thing. But whoever does the right thing, we'll call them first when everything's going on.
You put this in your pocket.
That's how we'll do that.
So Matt Albert joining me on set now. Interesting story there, kind of confusing a little bit because they need the media to kind of get their message out, but now they're saying they may lie to you and tell you they're going to be someplace else.
Exactly. We asked them about events going forward. You know, they've been talking about, quote, midnight madness.
Right.
So I asked them tonight, what is that? They said, that's nothing. But then when I asked them, you know, what's the plan for the rest of the weekend? They kind of told me, well, you know, unless you tell this story how we want it told tonight, we're going to give you wrong information about the events going forward.
Okay, so kind of a strange situation there where they're going to give
Very
you
strange,
misinformation
for sure.
when you're trying to cover their side of the story as well.
Exactly.
All right, Matt Alba, thank you very much for that story.
Thanks.